Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you guys? Come on in here. How is everybody doing this evening? Hey, 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 hey. Hey, guys, hey, guys, hey, guys. Share with a friend. Come on in here. Welcome, 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 welcome to Tea with Tanisha. Oh, let me know where you're coming in from. Is that you, Tanidra? Hey guys, it's me, Tanisha. Oh, let's get this party started. How are you guys? How's everybody doing? Let me know where you're calling from or coming from. Where are you located? If you're looking at me on the telephone or computer. Hey, Roxanne Shante. Hey, girlie. How are you guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shante, I know where you're from, but you can say it anyway if you want to. Hey, girl. We're going to get started in like 2 seconds. How are you doing, darling? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would sing a song. You know, people always play music, but I promise you that's not going to go over very well. I'm sure you're laughing right now, Shante, but I'm going to spare you guys the music singing thing. Tonight, we are going to be talking about who's to blame for all of the confusion in blended families. I'm super excited about this topic and to hear everyone's thoughts on what they're thinking. It is who is to blame for this thing? Who do you think it is? I don't know. I know what I think and who I think it is, but let's just see. Hey, Susan, how are you, lady? I know where you two ladies are from. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're going to get started right about now. I'll introduce myself again, but I know you guys already know who I am. Hey, Mr. Lisa. So I'm going to introduce myself. I am Tanisha O. We are here with Tea with Tanisha O. So welcome. We're going to hang out tonight and we're going to talk about who's to blame in blended families. Like stepmothers have this one person that they secretly really want to blame. And let's see if we're all on the same page who we think that person is. So I'll introduce myself. Once again, I am the founder of Blending Our Love Incorporated. I'm also the author of this wonderful book, Empowered Stepmother. If you don't have it, go grab it. It's a great book. I'm a coach for stepmothers. I coach stepmothers one-on-one. I also coach stepmothers with biological mothers or with their stepchildren or their husbands. So any facet of that blended family, when it comes to a stepmother and how we can empower her, that's exactly what I do. And I'm your girl for that. So one, I want to thank you guys for coming into this awesome community and joining me for the next 30 plus days. I'm going to go live every single day. So if you know any stepmothers or any topics that are just awesome that would fit into this niche, let me know and invite them over at DM me or something like that. So first off, let's talk about who's to blame for all of the confusion. So many people have so many ideas. And ladies, tag in there, even if you're not in a blended family, because I know some of you guys are, some aren't. Who do you always hear that is to blame? Like I know you know people who are stepmothers. Who do you hear the number one person is? Who are they blaming mostly for the issues that they're having inside of their blended family? Who do you think it is? Anybody, if you type it in there, it'll let it know. So I'm going to say, do you think it's the husband, the ex, the stepchildren, or everyone involved? Those are the four people: the husband, the ex, the stepchildren, or everyone involved. You see, a lot of times, most people find it much easier to blame everyone else. Hey, Thea. Exactly. Everyone else. Yes, everyone involved is responsible, even though we love to blame everyone else, because it's much easier to blame somebody else for the issues than it is for us to take our own responsibility. Yes, for stepmoms, it is the bio moms. We love blaming them because half the time they're defenseless and not even there when we're doing all the extra blaming. So it's easy to blame other people. But let me just ask you this one question. Ask yourself an honest question. When you married your husband, or if you're currently in a dating relationship, when you entered into that relationship, were you ready to blame everyone else if your marriage failed? Like, did you come in there with this idea of, yeah, you know what, it's going to work regardless. We're in it to win it. I'm going to get this thing done. Or did you come in like, you know what, if this thing doesn't work, I already know why. It's her fault or it's the kid's fault. A lot of times we enter into these things and we have too many people to blame other than even just not even necessarily starting off taking responsibility, but when we enter into it, do we enter into it with the right mindset that we're going to succeed? That's one of the key things that I'm going to ask that I find in blended families. Like, did you come in with these limiting beliefs thinking, you know what, if this doesn't work, I'm walking out, I'm walking away, especially if you don't have any mutual children together. A lot of people will say it's somebody else's fault. But at what point do we have to pause to say, you know what, I think I need to have an open mind? I know for me, I did everything that I just recommended. I wanted to blame Ike. I wanted to blame Danielle, and I did. I blamed my husband for not doing the right thing. I blamed anybody who had an ear to hear if they were involved with any portion of this. I blamed Danielle's parents for their parenting. Like, we get real ruthless with our with our judgment. So I already did that. I did all those things, and then I had to realize that, you know what about yourself, T? Like, what exactly do you want out of this relationship? And in all honesty, ladies, we have to come to a place where we decide, what do I want? Do I want my marriage? And some people may say no. And if your answer is no, you got to know that. Like, what is your boundaries? What is your I've had enough point? Where are you? Or are you just going to spend the rest of your life complaining? For me, I had to come to a place where I was like, my marriage is going to work, period. Like, that was always what my number one top priority was my marriage. But what if you don't want that? If you don't want that, you have to be honest with yourself. No need making everybody miserable, right? Those people that are just miserable. No need making everybody miserable. So I'm going to ask you guys this. What is it that you really want if it's not working? And if everyone else is to blame for all of the confusion, what, if any, are you responsible for? Because the reality is we're all responsible to some level or some degree of the confusion in our families. And I'm going to dig a little bit deeper as we keep going. It's going to be like an onion, and I'm just going to keep peeling off the layers. So I'm going to keep looking at all of your comments and everything like that. I see that you said, Thea, absolutely. It is everyone else to blame. So number two, you can throw that number 2 in there. What's the best way to get people to understand you? So here are my questions for you guys. The best way to get somebody to understand you is 1, just keep nagging your husband until he listens. Or 2, be clear, blunt, and very to the point to make sure people understand you. Just completely ignore the situation or acknowledge that people may never view things the way you do and be okay with it. Like, give your honest answer, not the answer that you think. Like, what is the honest answer that you think it is to this question? What's the best way to get people to understand you? Nag your husband, be clear and blunt, ignore the situation, or acknowledge people. Acknowledge that people may never see your viewpoint. I'm going to tell you, for me, I tried everything. You guys, listen, I tried the nagging. I said it nicely. I said it in a text message. I said it slowly. I said it to Danielle. I said it to Danielle's parents. I said it over breakfast. Nothing worked. It didn't matter what it was. Like, nothing was working. And I was just at my wit's end. I was like, this right here isn't working. Why isn't anybody understanding me? I know I'm not alone. Please don't tell me I'm alone with people not to the point. Okay, Mr. Lisa, exactly. Get to the point. But what do you do when you've said it so many ways and people still just don't understand you? How do you get your point across? And it's not that your point is not valid. Your point is extremely valid. But for me, ultimately, I just had to realize that I had to shift my viewpoints because I was annoyed and I was choosing to be annoyed. I was choosing to be annoyed, even though, stick with me, because it's like, no, you don't have to be. People do annoy us. They do annoy us. But I was choosing to be annoyed. So I literally, every single day, I'm working on this one thing. I have to decide to learn to sit with unpleasant experiences and explore them without judgment. I literally have that on my vision board, to explore just sitting with unpleasant experiences and explore them without judgment. It's not easy. Hey, Tina. It's not easy at all. But I had to really, really work diligently to do that because everything else wasn't working for me, and it's still something that I'm practicing to this day, just learning to just sit calmly with these unpleasant experiences, because the reality, guys, is that people don't have to understand us. Right. Accepting that people don't understand. Exactly. They don't have to understand us. They may not want to understand us. Even if our idea is a good one, they may never come around. So the question is, do we spend the rest of our lives just upset in our marriage and just causing chaos and havoc on all those things? Or do we do this other thing, which is my next question? And let's see what that question is, which is, do we just be quiet? Does silence equal peace? We're at our point, no one is hearing us, no one is understanding what we're saying. We're completely frustrated, we're annoyed, we're irritated, all those things. And in our minds, rightfully so, because it's annoying and frustrating being ignored. But what happens then? So now we just said, forget it. So I'm going to ask you guys this. Do you think that silence equals peace? Just yes or no. Do you think that silence equals peace? So if you're being quiet, that means that we are not causing any friction. We're not causing any harm. We're just being silent. Do you think that silence equals peace? What are your thoughts on that? Does silence equal peace? No. Yeah, Thea. Anybody else? Do you think that silence equals peace? What are your thoughts? Anybody else? Because I'm with you, Thea. Silence doesn't equal peace as far as I'm concerned. No, it can lead to resentment. Exactly, sissy. It's my sister. Exactly. It can totally lead to resentment. Because see, if we are sitting in silence and we're contemplating how to ruin the lives of others, how to make their lives miserable, and then we're not bringing peace. And it's not a good sign to be quiet, because a lot of times, they say women, as long as we're talking, we're still in the game. It's typically when we stop talking, that's when we checked out. Ladies, let me know if that's your understanding. I know I always tell my husband, if I'm still complaining, nagging, or whatever it is, unfortunately, that's a good sign. It's when we stop talking that we're just over it. And over it could be in a really, really bad place. So the next thing is like silence can equal like that nasty tone. I know I've been known to have a quite sharp tongue, and I'm grateful that I'm growing up and it's not, because it's nothing that I'm proud of at all. Just being rude and nasty to people. I don't need you to agree. Don't need it. Amen. Amen story. Tanidra, thank you for that. Like and that's not peace. But in my mind, I was like, well, I'm not saying anything except for my eyes are rolling. And every time somebody says something, I'm saying something sharp or rude. And I'm like, but I'm bringing peace because I'm being quiet. No, I wasn't. I was making things absolutely worse. Couldn't tell me that in the moment. And then what about when people speak? Like as soon as somebody tries to say something harmonious, you're so upset or pissed off with the whole thing, that resentment that my sister is just talking about, that when you respond, it's just this nasty tone and you are ready to fire off and blame everybody. You're just waiting. You're just waiting. You've been quiet so that you can just fire off as soon as somebody says something, like light them up. And then you feel so good about yourself, and then you feel terrible about yourself. But you still will say, I'm quiet. I'm bringing peace. I'm not causing any issues, except for all those other things that I'm going to raise my hand first that I'm guilty of, But I think that it's important for us to pause for a second. Because if we have an attitude all the time and we're upset all the time and not being responsible for our behavior, once again, are we really bringing peace? The answer is still no, even though I promise you, when we tell our friends this story, we're going to blame everybody else, but except for ourselves. So silence can be a weapon when it's brewing any anger, resentment, pain, jealousy, all those things, because those are emotions that we feel. We feel that towards the ex, even if the man wants nothing to do with her. Somewhere in our minds, we still create a story that can cause to lead us to some level of resentment or pain or being upset. So being an empowered stepmother, it takes bravery. It takes courage to understand that our emotions are sensitive, but it takes bravery and courage to even be aware of our emotions and how we feel, and to be ready and willing to call ourselves out on all of our nonsense. Because I'm telling you, every single day, I create some random story in my mind about something, and I have to be able to pull myself back, like, come on back, T, come on back, T. And I'm not just speaking when it comes to blended families. I'm just saying in general, whatever it is that we're doing. But the more we practice using that muscle and exercising those our thoughts and making sure we keep our thoughts aligned with what we want instead of going down a rabbit hole of what we don't want, we become empowered. Because you think about it, most times we spend most of our time focusing on everything we don't want instead of focusing on everything we do want. Guess what you're going to get more of? Anybody want to throw that in? Like, when we spend all of our time focusing on what we don't want, that's what we get more of. I don't have the money to pay my bills. My marriage is in shambles. I'm overweight. I'm miserable. Life is horrible. Nobody at my job likes me. These are all things, if we continuously focus on that, that's all we're going to get are the negative things. But you know what? I've gained weight, might even have a little bit of cellulite. You're going to have to love every inch of that until you get to the place you want to be, or get so tired of seeing it, but still loving your body until you get to the place that you want to be. If you're not in the job that you want, instead of focusing on everything you hate about it, be excited and grateful for that job while you prepare to do the next thing. You know, when it came to my husband, when we were at a really rough patch, never like a divorce type of thing, you know what I did? On my cell phone, I used a picture of one of our happiest moments. And actually till today, I still do that. One of our happiest moments. So every time I see my phone, I'm smiling, you know, and everything that annoyed me about him, whatever those little bitty things were, instead of me allowing myself to continuously be annoyed, I decided to shift to say, how can I view that differently so that it doesn't annoy me? Because he's not going to stop doing it. And I'm just going to keep being annoyed. So then what? So I just needed to become the change that I needed and wanted to see in our relationship and in our marriage. And that's exactly what I decided to do in order to help shift our marriage. Because right now we are talking about who is it to blame. So who are we blaming? If we're blaming the stepchildren, they may never stop doing those little annoying things. But then what? Do we just stay annoyed and irritated for the rest of the day? Or our lives? Do we get divorced because of those things? I don't know. You know, that you think about it. People talk about divorce and they're like, why did they get divorced? Because he left the toothpaste off the top. Is that really why they got divorced? Of course they didn't. It was so many little things that were brewing while we were silent, expecting them to change, and we never expressed it. Or maybe we didn't express it in their love language in order for them to understand what it is that we're trying to say. You know, like those are the little things that I had to learn to tweak. And fair fight, which is something that I fight fair that I talk about in the book Empowered Stepmother. So let's move on to number, I think we're on 4. What are we going to talk about next? The next question is your husband capable of getting it right when co-parenting with the ex? I don't know how many stepmothers we have on there, and I know you may not want it recorded, but I'm going to say these things out loud because I don't want anybody's feelings hurt. Now, yes, shifting the focus. So, is your husband capable of getting it right when it comes to co-parenting? I'm going to give you guys 4 of the top responses that I received when I asked this question. 1, and it's the number 1 answer I received. Nope. He's afraid of her and he has no backbone to stand up to her. I always get sad when I hear that one, like for a woman to say that her husband or man has no backbone. That's tough. I'll give you my thoughts on it once I get finished running through all these things. The next one is, yes, I trust his decision and he's doing the best he can. Like, are you in a place where you trust your husband or your man and you're like, he's doing the best he can considering the situation? Or, I don't know, he refuses to involve me. You just have absolutely no clue. He refuses to tell you anything, basically, butt out of it. You're just here for the ride, but it's none of your business. Or you're at a point where you're just like, who cares? I'm over it. I'm just over it all at this point. These are all 4 of the top 4 things that I hear people say. Ladies, have you guys heard these same things? Please Let me know if you hear these things also. But these are the top 4 things that I hear women say the most. But unfortunately, he doesn't have a backbone is the top of the list. And so every time I hear it, I think, why did you marry him? And why would you be with a man who doesn't have a backbone? Like, what woman wants to be with somebody who doesn't have a backbone? And why are you comfortable throwing your man under the bus like that, saying something like that? That's not cool. I mean, that's really not cool. It's equivalent to your man being out there like, yeah, she's a mom, but she sure don't know how to be a mother. She's horrible. She can't cook. She doesn't clean. She doesn't take care of the kids. You know, we don't want somebody saying something like that, insulting us as women. Yet women are very quick to go out there and throw their man under the bus when it comes to those things. And it's, you know, it's kind of looked at or laughed at, but it's not cool. So let's think about changing our perspective when it comes to a woman who says her man doesn't have a backbone when it comes to co-parenting. You know, men sometimes can kind of be in a tight spot to express themselves calmly without being aggressive or causing someone to be fearful, because ladies, let's just be honest, women have a tendency to come off very strong when it comes to communicating with the man, you know, almost acting like she's a man, bucking at him and all that stuff. But the expectation and understanding should never be that he puts her hands on him. At the same time, women can be very aggressive. And so men, sometimes in order to keep their calm, maybe they're trying to just remain calm by just not engaging the way she's trying to get them to engage in order to remain civil. I say that because we went through, I'm trying to make sure I say this right. We went through having court cases due to physical violence in our co-parenting situation. We dealt with that. So I know what that means firsthand. It's one of the key reasons why I wound up communicating with Danielle. Among a host, it was just all this arguing, and then it led to an altercation. And that's not good. And you never want anybody to be in that place. So while we're thinking about this, I'm just simply saying it is important for us to look at it in a certain way. Absolutely, disrespect isn't allowed, but we can't control the level of respect another person is willing to give to someone else. All we can do is set up our boundaries. And once we set up our boundaries, and once our boundaries have been crossed, then you make a different arrangement. So in my husband's case, his boundaries were crossed and he made a completely different arrangement. He stopped communicating, period, end of story. And I know people may say that's not good, but it wasn't good for what Ike was seeing either. And we had to make a decision, and we're grateful for the decision we made, but we had to make a quick decision on how we were going to handle that. So that's one perspective. The man, you know, how he's going to not be too aggressive when addressing or dealing with the woman, you know. And if your man is comfortable name calling his ex, bad mouthing her, or all that stuff, or maybe both of you guys together sit around laughing, be careful, because you might be next. Any man who is just comfortable calling a woman out of her name, or a woman for that matter, we got to be careful, because it's next. Like, we're next, or they're next when it comes to that. So it might be cute and funny in the moment until it's you, the next person. So be leery when those conversations come. And so if he refuses to involve you, why? This is the part where I had to really check myself. Like, my husband isn't getting it right. If he wasn't getting it right, why wasn't he involving me? Why wasn't he coming to me? Well, part of it in the beginning was because I was part of the problem. If he came to me with the conversation, now he's already annoyed because he just dealt with this woman and all her nonsense in his mind, right? Now he has me with all my nonsense, and I'm bringing extra drama to the table. He doesn't want to deal with all of that. And so with that being said, sometimes he's better off saying, you know what, forget it. I just won't involve you at all. I'm going to handle this on my own. So now I don't have to hear it twice. It's easier for him to try to ignore you than it is to deal with it twice. So if you're in that case, I know how frustrating and painful that is, because I got little whiffs of it, like while we were dating. The reason why I say that is while my husband and I dated, we dated for almost 4 years. During that time, I didn't get involved with him and Danielle and all of that stuff. I understood what was going on. I saw what was going on, but I didn't involve myself in what was happening with them, because that was their stuff, right? Like, I'm not a wife. I needed to just kind of lay back, but I understood what was happening, but I still just watched from a distance. And with that being said, I felt silenced, even though he communicated, he kind of felt like, maybe you don't really understand. But in my case, it was a little different because I had children and I had been co-parenting because I was a teenage mom and I was never married to their dad either. So he kind of at least knew I had an understanding. But I realized my husband listened to me a lot more when I added value. When I added value to our relationship by helping support or by looking at other perspectives, because I always said, she's a mother. I know that she may not be coming across the way you desire, but she's still a mother and we have to honor that. Like, this is still her child. We have to respect that. I still always said those things to help add some value to it. So when you come back to all of this stuff, trust, if you are in a place where your man is like, yeah, holding it down, trust is the key. Like in all of the blended families, and I know a lot of really successful blended families, I know people that are still going through it. They're still going through the custody battles and they're still trying to work through all of those things. And so there's still a lot of confusion. But those people who have reached a level of calm, kind of where we are in our blended family, those blended families are thriving because they have a man who is standing up, speaking up. Doesn't mean it's assertive, but that man has set the boundaries. He's set rules of engagement. He's been very, very clear on what the expectations are, what it will be and what it won't be. Not controlling the ex, but outlining what it will be in their home. So the sooner, stepmothers, you are able to get on the same page with your husband, not with the mind frame of blocking out everyone else, because that's the easy route to just say forget you to everyone else, but with the mindset of trying to keep all of the perspectives in place while still setting your boundaries, the faster you guys will come to a place of harmony. So ultimately, who is responsible for a healthy blended family? Who do you guys think is responsible? In order to ensure we all have this healthy blended family, who is responsible for that to happen? In my opinion, we all play a role. We can't control the actions, attitudes, behaviors, or anything else of anyone else, but we are all responsible for taking for playing a role. So stepmothers, it's time to take off the victim cape, just retire it, burn it, throw it in the trash, get rid of it, because we aren't victims. We're victorious. And empowered stepmothers behave differently. We respond differently. We are responsible for our actions. We don't allow our face to show every feeling and emotion that we have, because that's just allowing someone else, yes, Mr. Lisa, everyone, that's allowing someone else to control us. We're empowered and we are bold enough, brave enough, and courageous enough to be independent. And allow yourself to just sit with unpleasant experiences and explore them without judgment. I literally read that on my vision board every single day to remind myself every single day. So when things happen that I don't like, now I'm at a place where I'm like, oh, watch me move on with the smile. I just move on with the smile. So-and-so doesn't like you. That's none of my business. And I'm telling you, if you call me today and tell me someone doesn't like me, my response is going to be, it's none of my business, because I can't control what someone else thinks of me, and they will not dictate my day-to-day life. It's time for us to evict people out of our lives who are controlling us through their behavior. They don't like us through the confusion. Anybody who is controlling us through their behavior, we are allowing them to have that control. Take it back. Be empowered to live life the way you want to live your life, whatever that looks like. And if it is that you like confusion, then keep it up. But I'm gonna tell you this thing that I learned, which was a super painful experience. And you guys jump in if you've had this too. When I decided to become not just an empowered stepmother, just take my life back, I lost friends. Friends stopped calling, family members stopped calling, certain family members stopped calling, because they weren't entertained by the nonsense anymore. You know, when I had stories and drama about all the problems and the issues that were going on, I'm telling you, they kept my phone blowing up. Hey girl, what happened? What happened? Oh, yeah. But when I started to shift my conversation, I noticed that the telephone rang a lot less. Matter of fact, my phone doesn't ring very often at all now, unless there are certain core people in my life that call regularly. But other than that, people are going to fall by the wayside. But I'm going to tell you guys something that's the good news. Those people will be replaced with people who are now like-minded, far more positive if you're going in the direction of positive. But be okay with letting people go. People are in our lives for a season, but not everyone will be with us forever because we outgrow some situations. Other people outgrow us. You know, these things happen in life. Doesn't mean we don't love them at all. And it doesn't mean we have an attitude towards them. It just means that things have shifted. So I just want to tell you guys, we're all responsible for how we get through our family lives and our family journey. And I want to thank you guys all for being a part of this empowered stepmother community. My heart is filled with so much gratitude for all of the continued support and the love and the outpouring, for you trusting me to chat with you, for asking the questions of how I can support you. It means a lot to me. And I'm really, really grateful to be in my position. I mean, I wasn't excited in the midst of all the pain and the chaos that I went through, but if not me, then who? You know, it takes trailblazers to go through things in order to help be a part of the change and empower the world to be the place we desire to live in. So for my family, yours, we love you. I thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you guys have any questions, even after this, throw them in the comments or DM me. And tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So ladies, I'm going to have one of my very best friends on this joint tomorrow. And we're going to cut it up to talk about what it's like, just girl time, especially dealing with the nonsense and constant confusion that can come in blended families. So what happens and how you guys get through that. So tomorrow for Valentine's Day, if you're not hanging out with your girl, come hang out with us tomorrow at 9 p.m. on Tea with Tanisha O. And until then, I'll talk to you guys soon. Don't forget, get this book. I know some of you guys said you had it, but I don't think you have it just yet. So get this book. If you're in need of any coaching, stepmoms with biological mothers, with your stepchildren, or with your husbands, let me know. That's what I'm here for. I'm glad to support you. So from my family to yours, we love you, and I'll talk to you soon. And until then, you guys know what to do. Keep blending your love. Ciao.